Hello, happy Monday. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. Hey, Charlene, I see you. Come right on in, everybody. Happy Monday to you. This is Real Talk with Love. I'm Coach Barbara Perkins, and I am coming to you week number 24. Hi, Tammy Lee. Coming to you 24 weeks consecutively, every Monday right here on Facebook Live. Real Talk with Love. So come right on in, and of course you know what to do. Hit the share button. Share it so a few of our friends will come in and be able to join us tonight. Share, tag, like somebody. You know what to do. Share it to the other groups, especially our Sisters at the Well Morning Inspiration group. Oh, we must share it with them. Hey, Cody, thank you. Sounds good, everybody? My volume's up, okay? Hey, Jasmine. How are you? And Drake. Oh, my friends from California. I hope you guys are doing okay with all the fire and smoke and terrible quality of air right now. Be safe. So come right on in. This is Real Talk with Love. I'm Coach Barbara A. Perkins, and we are going to have a really good conversation this evening. Not a very long one. You know, we do about 30 minutes. Hi, Stella and Marilyn. We do about 30 minutes, and tonight we're going to talk about living a life of contentment. Living a life of contentment. That is our topic for tonight. And you're listening to Brannis, and she's about wrapping up our theme song, which is Sisters at the Well. Oh my goodness, Lisa Fowler. How are you? How's everything in Texas? Glad you joined this evening. So we're going to hop right into it. We're going to talk about living a life of contentment. But before that, I want to share a couple of things. One, I want to thank those of you who were able to join our virtual policy forum last Thursday. Oh my goodness, did we not have a good time? Last Thursday, the International Black Women's Public Policy Institute hosted our very first virtual policy forum. It was 6 hours of power-packed, riveting information, and a lot of you who joined me here on Real Talk with Love came over and joined us. Charlene was there, and Lisa was there. Tammy Lee actually performed. And so we had a great time. We had 716 people register, and that was a record for us. So thank you. We're going to be putting out some of those short videos, you know, so that those who might have missed it can catch it. Hi, Sharon. So anyway, I wanted to thank you for that. And then I don't know how many of you last night got a chance to see Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle. Oh my goodness, on their little sing-off. Yes, Charlene, it was so awesome. I was in the room just screaming my head off, just having my own little party. It was so much fun and so needed in this time when we are dealing with so many other things that keep us in knots, right? Gwendolyn and Coralie, hey sister. So I just had a great time, and I just wanted to say, if you saw it, shout out. We just love Patty, and that Gladys Knight, she's just everything. She is everything. And when Dionne Warwick came on and joined them, OMG, you would have thought I was crazy in here by myself. So it was a really good evening. The other thing that's good is, there's a lot going on. There is no way to escape some of this anxiety, some of this that we are carrying, because we are bombarded with it. We are living in it. We're standing in the center of a lot of stressful things, right? And so, it's our life. We can't ignore it. Like some people did, ignored it, and a whole bunch of people got sick and lost their lives. So we can't ignore it. We acknowledge every time we come on, we acknowledge those families that have suffered losses, loss of life and property, jobs, and some even loss of hope. And so we acknowledge them. And really and truly this morning, on Monday mornings, I also, I'm on a national prayer call. And on our call this morning, we really talked about just being grateful for the gift of life itself. Because never in my lifetime have we seen, my mother's no longer here, but even in her lifetime, have we seen the magnitude of loss of lives as we have in these past 6 months. Over 100 and almost 90,000 people in this country have lost their lives. It's a sad thing. So with that, as sad as it is on my prayer call, as sad as it is, we have to find a way. We have to find a way to live this life that we have with contentment, joy, happiness, even in the midst of everything that's going on around us. There is still space for joy. Right? Thank you, Drake. Bless you right back. There is still space for joy. And so for those of you who believe, as I do, in the power of prayer, we must continue praying, not just for our nation, but really the world. We must pray for the world. Because I believe prayer changes things, and certainly we can shift what we see is going on in the world. Right? So today I want to talk for the next maybe 15 minutes on a life of contentment. What is that? What does that mean? Contentment is finding joy in what we already have in our lives. Your current circumstances, feeling satisfied with what you have already, feeling satisfied with where you are in your life. That is contentment. It does not mean that you don't strive for more. It does not mean that you don't have a plan for success in your life. Hi, Sharon, Charles, and Angela. Contentment means knowing the importance of the moment that you are in. Knowing the significance of the present moment. And finding peace in that moment. That is what contentment is. So I wrote down a few things. Contentment is freedom from external desires. What does that mean? Contentment is I recognize where I am right now in my life. And I'm going to take that in, and I am not going to move beyond that. I'm going to spend time feeling at peace with where I am without obsessing about where I want to go. Contentment is freedom from external expectations. This one could be a little difficult because people expect a lot from us, as we expect a lot from others. We cannot fulfill all of the expectations that folks have. We cannot fulfill those expectations. But what we can do is we can recognize the moment that we are in and find a way to hold on to that present moment and be content. Contentment is freedom from worry that you did not get something done. That one's hard for me, I can tell you that. I am always moving and planning for the next thing. So I have to set my intention to hold off just a moment. In fact, my son just reminded me the other day, we were ending our virtual program. I think we had just ended. And I made a comment about the next thing we would be doing. And he said, "Mom, just relax." And it was so important in that moment for me to get it. Because it's really easy to move from one thing to the next without taking a breath, taking it in, and finding the joy and the peace within the present moment. Because we're so quick to look for the next moment, the moment ahead of us, as opposed to the moment that we sit in. Contentment is eliminating the concern that others have what you desire. That too is a tricky one because we look around, we see others and we say, "Oh my God, they're doing so well. It looks like they're doing so great." You see the beautiful pictures on Facebook, right? Hey, Deborah Mack. You see all the beautiful pictures and you see all the shout outs and you say, "Oh my God, I want what they have. I want what they have." Well, people only put up the best. They're not going to put up their struggle. So when you say you want what they have, you don't know what's behind the scenes. So the distraction of looking at someone else, it is just that. It takes you away from looking at your own and appreciating where you are. Contentment is letting go of the wounds from being misunderstood. Being at peace with knowing that you did your best. If this is resonating with you, send me 2 hearts, 2 thumbs up, something. I want to make sure you're feeling some of this. Being at peace with knowing that you've done your best is enough. It doesn't have to be what someone else thinks. It doesn't have to have all the approvals of everybody else. But you have to know internally, and really know, because you can't really lie to yourself, because you know the truth about who you are. So when you are showing up in your excellence, and you're doing the best that you can, but someone misunderstands, and they're not quite sure that you lived up to whatever, right? And the wounds of being misunderstood, sometimes they're really deep wounds. You have to learn, we have to learn to let go of that. Okay. Contentment is understanding that as you grow, you are going to feel the tension of growth. When you are, my grandmother used to say, when God is teaching you something, you are going to be stretched. And stretching doesn't always feel good. In fact, I don't think it feels good at all. But when you are being stretched and growing into your own self, you may begin to feel the tension around that growth. And it's okay. In fact, it's good. It's your indicator that things are happening for you. Contentment is knowing that everyone is not going to agree with you. Now that's a good one. Everyone is not going to agree with you. Everyone is not going to like you. Get over it. I don't care how much you try. I don't care how you show up. I don't care how much you try to give them. They're not always going to agree with you or even like you. And that's okay. That's okay. You know, folks don't even pay attention to you when you're not doing anything good. It's when you're doing something good and significant that people begin to look at what you're doing and pay attention to what you're doing. When people start paying attention to what you're doing, whether they like you or not, just the fact that they're watching you and they're paying attention to you, it means that you're doing something. You're changing. You're changing something. There's something that they're looking at. Maybe they want to even emulate what you're doing. I think that's the best form of flattery, is when people copy you. And if you believe like I believe, there's no new information. Even the things that we are doing and we think they're original, most often that idea circulated in another way, right? So someone had the idea, they might not have moved on it, and now you have it. So if someone does something that you're doing and it looks very much like they might have seen you do it and now they're doing it, get over it. Let them do it. Let them do it. Be at peace with that. It does not change who you are, what you're going to do, the way you do it. You know how many people are doing a Facebook Live little talk like this? But here we are, 24 weeks later. We didn't stop. You know how many times the sound went off, or I lost the camera, or the power went off, or something else happened, it didn't show up just right? I will tell you, the first few weeks I stressed and stressed. Now I get it together. Come on, and we just have a good time. But you cannot worry about if folks are agreeing with you or if they like you, right? Contentment is knowing yourself well enough to know that you've done your very best, no matter what it looks like to other people. That you've done your best. Now, certainly if you know you're not doing your best and you're just barely doing it, just trying to get by, then I could see you being a little, uneasy about that, right? But when you know that you've done your best, I don't care what it looks like to other people. Take pause. Pat yourself on the back. Praise yourself. Be your best cheerleader. And be at peace with your efforts. Contentment with decisions that others make when they may be contrary to yours. You may think that someone should decide on one thing, and they decide something else. I heard Iyanla say this a few times. She said people have the right to change their minds, even if they promised you something, even if you had a plan and they changed their minds. It might not feel good, but they have the right to do that. And it's our responsibility to manage our feelings, to accept those things in our lives that we have no control over, and be content with that, so that your life is not a life of dis-ease and discomfort, but that your life is one of contentment and joy and happiness. Why? Because you deserve that. You deserve that. Here is what you can do. I'm going to give you maybe 3 things you can do when you begin to feel this feeling of discontent, uneasiness coming up. The first thing I try to do, because, I certainly, what I'm sharing with you is what I have to talk to myself about on a regular basis. When you begin to feel those feelings of discontent and uneasiness, when you begin to feel yourself worrying about what others are doing or thinking or feeling or saying, the first thing that I try to do is think about one thing that I am grateful for. Right in the midst of the discontent, right as soon as it comes up, one thing that I'm grateful for. And then when I get that one thing in my mind, Coralie, I quickly go to a second thing that I'm grateful for. This is how you get rid of that discontent. And then as soon as I get the second thing in my mind, I shift again. Is there anything else that I'm grateful for? Is what I ask myself. Because there's something about gratitude that changes your entire position, your feeling inside. When you shift your thoughts to gratitude, you could actually feel joy coming up. Because you cannot hold, guess what? You can't hold gratitude and discontent at the same time. It's impossible. If you hold on to gratitude for the gift, I think usually the first gift, I thank God for life. Especially in this time, this season that we're in, every single day, the news. We hear just numbers. It's almost like we're becoming desensitized to it. I won't allow that to happen, because every number represents a life and a family and a change forever. So my gratitude for life every morning, recognizing that life in itself is a gift. Tammy says, a grateful heart will calm the spirit. It certainly does. And because life is such a gift, when you get a gift from someone, what do you do with a gift? You want to take care of it. You want to put it in a special place. You want to show your appreciation for that gift, right? You smile. It makes your heart smile. You have joy when you receive gifts. So when you think about your life as a gift and you stand in gratitude for that, it's very difficult to be in discontent with something else. The second thing, the accumulation of stuff Now, that's a habit I'm working on. We talked a little bit about this before. This COVID-19 period has really awakened so much for all of us. But I recognize that I have really, I won't call myself a hoarder, but I'm probably not real far, because it just does not make sense to have the number of shoes and handbags that I have. It doesn't make sense. And I thought about that, and I said, in the context of contentment. So I wasn't satisfied with 5 pairs or 10 pairs of shoes even. I had to get 5 pairs of black, 5 pairs of red. I mean, just too much. So contentment with enough, where we're not obsessing over more. I just want more. I just want more of things. When we shift that thought to I want more of the internal stuff, the internal things that make you feel good, is what we should be wanting more of, as opposed to the accumulation of things. I remember I used to have, Charlene said earrings. I hear you. I remember when my children were small, I started collecting Lladró. And, you know, in Lladró figurines, they're not cheap. You know, they're not cheap at all, as a matter of fact. And I started collecting them. And then I found myself, I had one curio cabinet full, and then another one full. And then in California, we suffered the Northridge earthquake. And down went one of those cabinets full of my Lladró, broken into pieces. And grateful we had insurance, and the insurance company came in and they reimbursed us. But it was an awakening for me. I said, why do I have so much of this? So I didn't replace it. I had the ones that were saved, I kept. But I have not bought one piece of Lladró since 1994, when that earthquake happened. I think I still have maybe 5 or 6 pieces that survived. But I have more wine glasses and crystal champagne glasses than, you know, I could set up my own little bar just because I like crystal. Well, you know what? And I don't buy glasses anymore. And I have to sometimes talk myself out of the store, get out the store. One, you don't even have a place to put them, so leave them here for somebody else. Obsessing over things and stuff. Right, Tracy, the more you have, the more you want. Just because we can buy it doesn't mean we have to, right? There's other things that I want to obsess over, and that is peace and joy and happiness and spending time with my grandson and enjoying my family. What about you? What are the things that fills you up from the inside that won't break when the earthquake happens, right? What are those things? The last thing I want to talk about is how you shift when you feel discontent coming up. The importance to take the pauses in our lives. Take the time to make weekly calls, calling your family and friends, making those unexpected calls. I called one of my goddaughters today. She's been texting me. She's such a sweetie pie. She's been texting, and I don't always answer. I don't always read my text messages. But today, in the middle of the day, I sat down and I started reading through, and I stopped what I was doing And I called her and I said, I just want to hear your voice. And we had a great 15-minute telephone call. And I learned that she lost a dear friend yesterday. And I was so grateful that I had made that call because we could talk and share, positive words. So take the time for yourself, walk, read, listen to music. As I said last night, I was in here having such a party with Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle that twice my husband came in the room and said, "Are you okay?" I literally was screaming at the top of my lungs. I was singing all the songs, writing them down like I never heard them before, but I want a new playlist. So I'm going to get a new playlist now with Gladys and Patti. But take the time for yourself. Acknowledge yourself. Be your own cheerleader. When you get off this live, I challenge you to write down three things in recent time, last week or two, that you are so proud of that you did. Whether it's calling someone, whether it's finishing a project, whether it's actually going to bed at 9 o'clock and getting 8 hours of sleep, whether it's making a decision, as I did today, that for the next month, I'm going to put more plant-based food on my plate than I have done in a long time. I want to eat better. I want to do better. I want to take care of my body temple better. What are three things, I challenge you, that you are going to celebrate about you and be willing to tell somebody else? Be willing to tell somebody what wonderfulness you're doing for yourself, what gift you are giving to yourself. That's my challenge to you. So that's it for tonight. In closing, I will say to you, contentment is a decision. It's a decision we all get to make. If you feel like you are looking outside of yourself and you're looking around to see who else is happy and who's doing what, this is a good time for you to think about you. Giving yourself that energy, turn it inward to you. Find your joy. Find your peace. Whatever it is that makes you happy. Oh my goodness, if Lisa is still on, look behind me. This piece of art, I moved around the gallery. You guys know how I do that. This piece of art was a gift from Lisa Fowler, who is on tonight. And I just love, this is a Belizean artist. And this piece fills me up. It's like our ancestral energy that comes through this piece. It reminds me of my grandmother sitting there getting her hair braided. And so art fills me up. You all know how much I talk about Cynthia St. James, who is my favorite artist. It just fills me up. So sometimes just sitting in a room, looking at the art, what is it that fills you up? Find your joy. Find your peace. Be content. Live your life in contentment. It is your decision to make. Thank you for listening. I'm glad you're here. Talk with each other in the thread. I'm going to put Brannis on as we say goodnight, and I'll see you next Monday. Thank you for joining. I love you all on purpose, as Charlene would say. Angela, you know what, Angela? I'll share the artist with you, but we bought it. I saw it in Belize, and Lisa happened to be with me, and a year later, this art showed up at my home. And so I'll share that with you. What fills you up? Live your life with contentment. It is so juicy, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And guess what? When we live our lives that way, that's what we attract. So thank you again. I love you all. Have a great night. I'm glad you were here. And I will see you next week. And I'll put Brandis on to play us a little bit out. Thank you, Sharon and Gwen. I appreciate you all. Tracy and Chanel. I saw you sneak in here, Chanel. Have a good night. I'm going to go play with my grandson. Bye-bye, everybody.